Yeah, we make I'm getting a shiver. So like we make like the perfect fucking duo.
Like Sadie draws the map and like I've build the car. And keep the car kind of running. And like we had this.
And even if a wheel falls off and I'm like, let's keep going. And then Juliet's like, Sadie. Hello and welcome to another episode of Goddess Hangs.
Episode 32.
Woo! 32 episodes. That's
32.
crazy.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
It is. We're going to be at a whole year before we know it. We're
Yeah.
over halfway there. That's wild.
Yeah.
I'm Sadie.
I'm Juliet. Obviously.
And we're just your new psychic BFFs. The best friend you always wish you had. We're here for you to make magic and manifestation and mindset and I don't know, all the spiritual stuff just more relatable, fun, lighthearted.
Totally. And we have been having so much fun meeting so many new people. We did a live event. We're getting new followers. And so we thought today, since some of you have been asking like, how did you guys meet? And like, how did you get into this? How did you get into that? And all that stuff. We were like, well, actually,
let's tell them.
Sadie was like, what if we sort of did like a reintroduction similar to episode 1, but like share new information and go even deeper and you can get to know us even better.
But before we do that, Juliet, what's new with you?
What is new with me? Ooh, well, what's new with us is that on Sunday, we're going to tell you our Rose Bowl recap.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun.
Just to back up a tiny bit, this whole thing was Sadie's idea. And by that, I mean the podcast and going to the Rose Bowl. So you know how when you're little and you have a friend that's like, we're going to do this at this time, I'm picking you up at this time and we're going. And you just go, okay. Sadie is that person in my life. I let her lead me anywhere. And it's funny because I've always been that friend to my other friends.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, get in the car. We're doing this thing. So it's fun to like.
I feel like I'm usually not the friend that is like, let's do some wild. Well, no, that's not true.
I was like, really?
That's not true. Never mind. I mean, in this vein, I was like, let's go party 3 days in a row. That was the kind of wild friend I used to be. Now I have a healthier channel.
That's good. That's good. Growth. We're proud. So Sadie said, I had a vision. We're going to get a booth at the Rose Bowl flea market and it's going to be a smashing success.
Yes.
And when you think about, this is a great like segue into inspired action because I'm sure to Sadie, it probably felt like, well, what if we did this? Or wouldn't it be interesting? Or wouldn't it be fun? And wouldn't it be cool? And that's like your little intuition tapping you. And the way that most podcasts, brands, anything are promoting themselves right now is not like this.
Yeah. I actually want to give a shout out because it was in our, which episode was it? In like the second episode or third episode, we talked about our past life regression experience, and then we also had Tiffany QHHT healer on for an episode, so go back and find both of those episodes. But when I did my QHHT session, first you go see a past life and then you get to talk to your subconscious. And this was when everything was still like pretty majorly closed down that I did this. And I asked like, and this was actually before we started the podcast. So I asked, I was like, you know, spirit, subconscious, like, how am I supposed to like grow my business? Because this was in the beginning stages of my business. And the answer was so annoying to me because it was like, you need to go out and meet people in real life. And I was like, how the F am I going to do that? Like,
right. Everything's
closed.
Yeah.
And even so, like, for, you know, my separate business, just I am Sadie Olson, it's not really the kind of thing that I'm going to like knock on doors and be like, what's up? I'm Sadie.
Would you like to meet a witch?
Would you like to meet your witch neighbor?
Okay.
I do all my like my altar, my desk is in front of my huge front windows, and my neighbors totally see me doing weird stuff all the time. Like I'm like doing my readings and I'm doing my spells, and they totally know. But anyways, I digress. It all came to me that was meant for when I got to the place. Sometimes you get the information and you're not ready for it yet, and then it clicked, and I was like, oh, this is how we're gonna grow goddess hangs. When you meet us, you know, you can't help but want to listen in, and I know that once we're discovered, like, it's game over. We're best friends now. So I just want to give a shout out to Tiffany in that session, because that was actually the domino that led to like the flea market, which was then hugely successful.
Yeah. So we, inspired by Sadie, nabbed a booth at the Rose Bowl, which now I also want to say that I always thought that you had to go through this like crazy vetting process, and it was like,
or be like invited or something.
Yeah, and you just buy space. And then
just go out and get it.
So that was like, oh yeah, anyone could do this. And then seeing all these people like hustling and showing up, and you had to pull your car in between 4 a.m. and 6:30 in the morning, or your spot was given up. So we got there at like 6 a.m. We're setting up our tent 6 a.m,
doing our makeup outside,
our makeup. We had like a cooler with, you know, snacks and lunch. And
Juliet made us really yummy sandwiches.
I made
which was
sandwiches,
very cute,
which reminded me of my grandma.
And I brought juice boxes.
No, I love a good juice box. I was like, thank you, that's all I want.
Yes, I knew we would need some sugar, you know, doing that many readings. It's very draining, even though it's fun. So I was like, we're gonna need some sugar. I'll bring the sugar.
When I was being born, my sweet grandma, who is now in spirit, showed up to the hospital and had made everybody sandwiches. And she was passing out sandwiches to everybody.
That is what you need. Hospital food is not good.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
So we set up our booth, and we had our sparkly, I'm going to paint the picture. We had a pink tent. We had a banner that we ended up hanging behind us because we sort
thought
of
it was going to be in
overshot
front. It was huge. But then it was the perfect size. It was a perfect backdrop. It was so good. It's all on our Instagram. Go check it out.
Yes. So we had the banner behind us, the pink sparkly table. We had our crystals, our cards. And I think we both had this thought of like, what if nobody says hi to us all day?
Yeah.
And we were very wrong. For most of the day, there was like, people waited in line for a long time.
We're so silly because when we first did that other event with the All of Us app, which you should all download, the All of Us app connects healers to people that need to be healed, and it's amazing. But when we did that event, we were like, you know, we'll probably do a reading, get to wander around the event, come back and do a reading, and it was like nonstop. And then we go to a huge flea market and we think maybe no one's gonna come. Like, stop, everyone wants a reading. And
it was so fun. It's so funny how our psychology works as humans, because when there was nobody at the booth, people would sort of just walk by.
They would slow down and like want to,
and they would like snap a picture of the banner and keep going. But when a line started forming, people were looking like, who are they? It was just really funny.
We were grabbing our little postcards.
It was
like,
really fun.
While we were doing reading. Yeah, it was so cool. It was so fun.
It reminded me of, there's a video somebody made a long time ago where it was this friend group, and they all were in on the joke, and they pretended that one of the people in the friend group at the airport was like a really famous person, and this huge crowd starts gathering and but they don't know this guy, but it's like that psychology.
We should do that. Oh my God, it's Sadie and Juliet. We should hire people at the airport to do that.
Totally. I'm like, one time,
please, no pictures.
One time, okay, this is gonna make me sound like I grew up in a castle. I didn't, but one time my grandparents decided it would be fun to book a limo to the airport.
Oh, yeah.
Which was very fun. And so I remember I must have been like 9 or 10, and I got out of the limo and I like purposely sort of like acted as though I didn't want to be seen, like I was a child star. And a crowd of people, they're all starting to gather and look, and then you hear somebody very clearly say, "Oh, it's no one." And I was like, darn it.
That's so funny.
So, yes, we had like a really busy booth and we just had the best time. We wore our coordinating outfits.
Yep, always.
And it makes me want to shop for more coordinating outfits.
We will be, because this is what I want to say about this and why you follow intuitive nudges, even though you're like, I don't know if anything's going to come of this, because I had this message to do this. And even before we went, I was like, you know, this is really for the marketing. It's not about making money from the readings. Like, if we break even, that's great. Or even if not, like, it'll still be worth it, which is all true. But then I was still open, you know, you're like, okay, like, you know, I'm kind of surrendering, but in the long run, this is going to be really beneficial in all ways, like money, visibility, all of that. So we leave that day and we did break even. Or maybe we made a slightly bit. But
I think we left with like a tiny profit after, you know, we invested in a tent and the banner and stuff like that.
Yeah. So we actually did great because we were doing a lot of free readings in exchange for like follow us and share a story. So it was amazing. But then days later, and we're not going to share the details yet, but days later, because we were at that booth, we booked another live event, which is going to be an insane return on our investment in that booth. So it happened in like, I mean, it was pretty 48 hours, 24 hours. So
it was like,
that's why you trust we could have argued ourselves out of that and been like, well, it's going to be so exhausting and we're probably not going to really make much of a profit and this and that. But it was just like, no, we know that we need to go meet people. I know there's many people for us to meet, but there must be, there was a particular person in this instance that we were like, yes, we met the person that like we were meant to meet that day. I really feel like so it was just so fun to just see that magic happen so instantaneously. And like I feel like I did that like opportunity spell that we've talked about before on the pod.
Oh my God, did it work or did it work?
And like the one thing happened immediately, and then like all of a sudden we have some other like little projects in the works that we're not going to be spilling the tea on quite yet, but like it just feels like I'm like, oh my God, this spell's all happening at once. Yeah. Like, oh fuck, I'm not ready. So I'm definitely going to be offering an opportunity to like do like a Zoom as a group to do that spell and share that spell, because it was holy shit. You think I was just like today, like after we were kind of like confirming the new thing and we had, you know, just submitted for another thing and planning this out, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm a real ass witch. Like I am the witch. Like I am doing this. Oh my God. Like, you know, you can call yourself a witch for a long time and it's, you know, you're doing your rituals, and it's a lot of, I think being a witch is a lot of personal development and self-love and self-care. And then stuff that doesn't make sense and is unexplainable starts getting like put in front of you, and you're like, oh, this is fucking magic. Like I am a witch. Holy shit.
So again, without sharing details, I have to say this is so divine. So we got our booth at this we were going to do a different flea market. We ended up at this one.
Our first idea, it was all full. So we're like, let's go big. Let's just get the biggest flea market.
Yeah. The ones, okay, the tickets where you picked your own section were sold out. So we bought a ticket where they would randomly assign us the day of. So we had no idea where we were going to be. We got placed, number one, across from the most happening booth, probably at the whole flea market.
Loud music, everyone was drawn there. And we had to ask them to turn the speaker because it was blaring at us.
You got to turn it just a little.
Like, don't turn it down. It's awesome, but you need to.
I'm yelling my reading. And then the person directly next to us, who was also randomly assigned, who throughout the whole day, I just got this nudge to like, I should just make friends with these people. Like they seem really sweet. And throughout the day, I was
right away when we got there, they were talking to us and asked if we needed help with our tent. And
oh my God, they were so sweet. And I'm like, do you guys want snacks? Like we have extra snacks, we have water. Like how's it going? We're going to send people your way. And we just sort of like formed this fun little camaraderie. And then it was one of those women that was like, I need your info.
Yeah.
And you just would not have known with the stuff that they were selling and
that it would have these connections.
Yeah.
And, stuff.
And we were just showing up. And also it reminded me of like, what's that phrase? Like, dress for the job you want.
Not the job you have.
Not the job you have. And I felt like we really put so much thought into like the presentation of the booth and like
the
what
branding,
we were going to wear. And like we really, really put so much thought into that so that it was like a very easy, inviting sell for people to come over. Anyways, that was the most exciting thing that happened to me this past weekend. And then I had to fight so hard to stay up.
Oh my God. I know. I barely drove home, and then I know, because it was early.
Yeah,
like we left at like 3:30. So, but I was up since 4 because I had to leave here by 5 to get there by 6. And then I mean, I got home at like 5, and I was like, all right, if I can just stay awake till 8.
Yeah, I think I made it to like 8:45.
And then I was getting in. Craig called me at like 8:45, and I was like, hello. Or he FaceTimed me, and he's like, are you okay? You look like you're like on drugs or something. I was like, I'm just really tired.
So much energy.
I couldn't even talk.
We did dozens and dozens of readings.
Which I love doing it, and we will do it again, but holy crap. That is a lot.
We have to set aside like little break intervals next time.
And grounding.
The goddesses will be back in 20 minutes.
I was laughing.
The goddesses are going to sit alone in their car with the air conditioning on and not talk for 20 minutes.
Yeah, we'll just put a schedule up of like, these are our break times. Come back later.
Oh, you're so smart. Yeah.
But it was funny because when I got home, like when you're doing readings, you're like, you know, like connecting to higher vibrations. And when I got home, I was like, all I want to do is eat junk food. Have I just been too high vibe all day? And my body's like, low vibrations.
I kind of wanted junk. That's so weird.
Like all I wanted was Taco Bell so bad. And I don't crave that anymore. Like, because I'm like, I like, dude, it's so good. I don't care. But
yeah, I like Taco Bell. I shouldn't.
I don't crave junk as much as I used to now that I'm like taking better care of myself. But I ordered it. I got Taco Bell.
Good.
And it was so good, and I had no regrets. But I was just like, I was like, this is such a strange, specific craving. I think I needed like low vibration to like bring me back
you a
down
little
to earth.
lower.
And it was so satisfying and amazing. And then I just watched New Girl for a little bit, and then I went to bed at like 8:30. I crawled in bed.
And then because I went to bed at 8:45, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, like ready to do the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, Juliet, no, you gotta
Go back
sleep.
to bed. Yeah.
So, but now I'm back on my normal, 1 a.m. nonsense. So I bounced back pretty quick, but it was such a fabulous time. Thank you to Irene Walton, who's been a guest on the show, for coming to our booth. Tiffany Parker, a guest on the show.
We were just talking about.
Thank you to Sierra, and thank you to Carly, and thank you to everybody that we met. Like, if you met us at the flea market, drop a comment.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you here.
It was so fun. Oh my gosh, we met so many. It's so cool because you just, without doing all of the stuff we're doing, we never would have like met these people. And it's just like, oh my gosh, there's so many amazing people in this world, and you just never will get to meet them all, but we get to meet so many more than we would if we weren't doing this.
I know.
Like, it's so special.
And there were so many girls that, and I know the feeling was mutual, that was like, oh my God, if we all like went to college at the same time, because a lot of them were like, we're just starting college, or like, just different ages than us. But I was like, oh my God, I would have been your friend immediately.
Yes.
And like wanted to room with you. And we had some really sweet feedback. Like, I feel like I know you guys. I feel like you're my best friends. And
that's
it
what
was
we're going
really fun.
for.
Yeah, that's the whole point of Rooney. So that's, I think, the biggest thing that's new with me. And then I tried to just be chill the day before and the day after.
Yeah.
And still enjoying my horseback riding.
Yes.
And this past Monday, I got to do so I got out of the little round pen, and we did like a big old perimeter ride, and I crossed a wobbly bridge.
Ooh,
and
scary.
Bats were flying by, and coyotes were walking by, and I was trotting pretty fast out in the dark, and then she'd be like, okay, stop, and I'm like, but it's fine, I don't want to stop. So it's been very magical.
What an adventure.
That's been
coyotes and bats, oh my.
totally. Totally. Very
Spooky
Halloween
girl.
vibes.
Spooky girl over here.
time. And then anything else? I don't think so. I got to work with a great artist yesterday, working on a song for her. And every day is just filling up with something like really creative, really magical. It's the best time I've ever had ever. And then my birthday's on Sunday.
I know.
I turned 30.
I can't wait for your birthday party. So this will be coming out the day after your birthday.
Oh, yes.
So I bet there will be stories on Instagram for you to go look at if you go now.
Totally.
If you're listening right away. We'll make a birthday highlight because my birthday's in a month then too. So we'll add to it.
Yes. Goddess birthdays. So yeah, that's what's new with me. What is new with you?
Anything besides the Rose Bowl? Well, pretty much the entire month of July, Craig is gone on tour. So he was home for 2 days this week, which was pretty crazy. The last time we saw each other was only for 1 day. It was less than 24 hours. And then, yeah, we just had 2 days, but he left this morning again. So that was nice to have 2 days together. It's so weird because now I'm used to like living alone. And then when he comes home, I'm like, oh.
Like, who are you?
I have my little like new routines in place, but it's just funny. But it's lovely to have him home, and the cats are so cute and happy when he comes home.
Aww.
The cats have been really naughty and not coming home at night.
Boo Girl is in a really rebellious stage.
She's going through her teen years. She's fixed. Otherwise, I would say she's in heat because she just like won't come home. So my cats are indoor-outdoor cats, for those of you who don't know, and they've never had an issue with coming home at dinner time. Like, they usually come home at like 4 p.m. before it gets dark, no problem. And then we let them out in the morning. And then all of a sudden, Boo just stopped coming home when she's supposed to. We can't catch her because she turns into like a wild animal when she goes outside. She like, and then when she comes back in, she's like, can't stop purring, and she's so cuddly. So I'm like, you like it here? Like, what's the problem? But that's been very stressful. But I think we're turning a new leaf because today I let them both out and they both came in around 1 p.m. and I just locked them in early. So that's exciting cat mom stuff for me over here. My money mindset magic course is going on right now. So enrollment is closed, but I'm really excited for this round of babes to dive in. It's fun. One of the ladies already texted me that like, oh my gosh, like just after signing up, like I keep finding just like dollars everywhere and I'm seeing 111 everywhere. I'm like, yeah, I mean, just enrolling alone like opens up this portal because you've made a commitment and like you have to do the course and you have to follow through with what the course tells you to like really tap into like, you know, being the rich witch or whatever. But it's just cool to see like the magic, like, you know, like the portal's opening. And so I've been getting really good feedback on that already, and so that's fun and it feels good right now. I'm just not going to really be pushing anything new or relaunching a course in a little bit. I'm signed up for a few courses that I want to just catch up on, so I'm taking time for myself to just like dive into my education. One of them is Witch and Famous with @captolia.online, which I've talked about before. So I'm catching up on that. And so I'm excited to just like take a month or two to just dive into like my business practices, redo my website, and just like I'm still doing readings. You can still buy my Basic Witch 101 course, but I'm not going to be pushing like either of my big courses for a little bit because we've got some events coming up that we're making money anyway. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to invest time in myself. So that feels really good. I'm like, it's almost like, okay, I'm not planning a launch or launching. I'm just gonna chill for a little bit. So that's exciting. And then I'll be doing Discover Divine Purpose again in the fall. So watch out for that. But yeah, that's kind of what's new with me. The Rose Bowl was obviously the big one, and it was just like such a...
Oh my God, it was so fun.
It's so I have in my my planner there, I bought one that has like a little square for gratitude each day, so I always manifest in that. So I always do a mix of, this is actually a question that someone asked that we were going to talk about, so I guess we can just talk about it now. But I write a mix of things that I'm manifesting and that I already have in my gratitude. That's a great manifestation magic trick, is to just tell your subconscious it's all true, and it makes it easier to believe that it's true because you have like actual real things in it. So I had been writing leading up to the Rose Bowl, like, I'm so grateful the Rose Bowl flea market with Goddess Hangs is such a huge success.
Really?
And then I've just continued writing it the next few days after because it came true, and it's just like fun to have it like be kind of like writing out the same sentence as like I hope this manifests, and then like, oh holy shit, it manifested in like ways that I didn't even imagine it would, like, so that's fun. But yeah, let's chat a little bit about our journey together.
Yeah, because it's a fun one.
It is. So we figured we have lots of new babes, and maybe you haven't made it all the way back to the first episode. We're gonna share that again, but it'll be different because
yes, with some new hidden Mickeys, some
hidden
new
Mickeys.
Easter eggs. I was at home yesterday, like reading whatever I was doing, and Victor goes, you have a hidden Mickey on your leg. I was like, what? And indeed I do. There's a birthmark that looks exactly like a
hidden
Mickey Mouse. And he's such a Disney fanatic, like him and his whole family. I was like, you would
find a hidden Mickey.
Find a hidden Mickey. I'm like, that's why I'm the one, because I'm
a hidden Mickey.
So so the way so Sadie and I were born 1 month apart.
1991.
I always
take us back.
I always think when I'm really old and people say, what year were you born? And I say 1991. They're gonna be like, whoa, that's old. So we decided last week that it's a fact, we decided. We incarnated at the same time.
Yes.
I was born like a month early. Sadie was a couple days late. So we sort of
I was 2 days late.
Slid down the bridge at the same
We
time.
came through the soul channel into our mama's
the little
bellies.
Rainbow slide.
Yeah.
And so that is how it all began. Although Sadie was in Wisconsin, I grew up in Los Angeles, and fast forward through our lives when we were
how long have we known each other now? The first 28 years of our lives. Let's fast forward.
27. We met when we were 27.
Oh my gosh. I think all like we're like halfway through 2021, and I still think it's like 2019.
I know, it's weird
because 2020 was just like a blur.
Right. We all like went into a social coma for a year
because I was like, oh, like 1 year ago I left my job. I'm like, that was
no, it was a year ago.
Wait, it was over a year ago.
Oh, it was over a year,
right?
Yeah, because you left in
I guess
April.
It was. I was like, was it like a year and a half ago? I mean, I went back for a week in the summer. And
I'm almost at 1 year.
Yeah.
I left in August.
Yeah, I guess it was. Okay, I feel a little better. I was like, was that 2 years ago? I have no sense of time. So much has happened. So I'm like, it feels like it's been 6 months, but also how much has changed? Feel like it must have been at least 2 years. So I guess that's positive.
So
we met when we were 27.
We both I almost said auditioned. We both interviewed for the same job-ish. Well, this at the same company the same week. We got the jobs. We were hired within the same week. And the whole time, I know I've shared this with you guys, the whole time we worked together, I was like, I really want to be her friend, like her friend in real life, and she's so cool. And I had like such a friend crush, but I couldn't act on my friend crush fully because we were coworkers and we've talked about the boundaries.
Like, we were always close at the store, but there's always still that little bit of like, you can't show them the real you.
And I don't know why I did this. When you were working, I asked you so many questions that just crossed my mind. Like, Sadie had her desk in the back and she was running the jobs of 4 different people, I think. And I would come back and I'd be like, should I price this at this or that? And sometimes she would look at me and smile and be like, you can figure that out. I became very dependent on you. I don't think I do that so much now.
I do that. Or I'm sorry, I don't do that. I always become that person at every store I work at that everyone asks every question.
And you're like, I'm not the authority on that.
I know. I'm like, I don't know how I always like, because that job, I didn't even get hired as like the store manager, but then I became the unofficial store manager. You know what I mean? Like everyone would ask me like the operation questions, what should we price this, whatever. And I would just make decisions because I was a manager at every job before that, but it wasn't technically my job there.
And there was one, I have so many funny memories with Sadie at that place. And one time we had to like break apart this Palo Santo
I was just
wood.
gonna say.
So we're in the back office on the floor.
I had my knife that Craig gave me for my birthday. With like a knife and a hammer,
and the two of us are trying to like...
That worked. We did do it.
And our other coworker comes in and she is a bit older than us, and she came in and she's like, "What are you girls doing?" Like we're whittling. We're whittling.
Because we were out of it and we had some big chunks. So we were like, what if? Because no one ever bought the big ones. We were like, what if we just made... Oh, no, we were making the bundles. The little cleansing bundles. Yeah, so we needed more small pieces. Yeah, that was fun. We always came up with weird projects to do.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun together working. I mean, work is also work and there's stress sometimes, but for the most part, we had a lot of fun. And then around January of 2020, Sadie came into work with a binder. She had made a binder that was laminated.
Guess which one of us is a Virgo?
And with like dividers and it was like, you guys, I just learned about the process of manifestation. Yep. And we're going to use it to drive sales. Sadie made everybody a journal, like a
I had a label maker. I put everyone's name on fresh new journals, and I was like, "You're doing this."
I'm gonna have to find where mine is because I bet so many of them like happened.
Yeah, I know. I have mine from that store, and I was flipping through it. I was like, "Oh my God, this is my life right now."
So we became very obsessed, and we wanted to learn more and more and more and more and more. And then we ended up, which we talked about in another episode, Sadie's like, we're going to go to breath work.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think that's like the second episode where we talk about our wild breath work experience and past lives. That's a great episode.
Yeah. So then...
me continuing to just tell Juliet things.
This was the origin. This was the origin of Sadie being like, we're doing this. And I said, okay. And so we went and we just had this crazy time. It was a very bonding experience.
Mind you, neither of us knew what breathwork was. And we thought we were going to like go meditate for a while.
I thought I was going to take a nap.
And I don't know how many of you have done breathwork, but it is not a nap.
No.
It's very intense. And you end up with
lobster claws. You can't move
and like
your
screaming
hands.
And crying and laughing hysterically. So I invite you to go listen to that episode for more details.
Yeah, that was a trip. And then, so then fast forward a little bit, Sadie moves on from her position. I work a little bit longer. And then I too am ready to move on and just really commit to like music full time and my creative stuff full time. And then right around, was it September or October, we got dinner.
Yeah, I think like we went.
Well, it might have been near August.
It was. I think it was the beginning of August. Yeah, that's when I had that reading. I remember.
Okay.
So it was before my birthday. So it was literally a year ago.
1 year anniversary
of the idea of goddess hangs. So yeah, I remember my reading was I think it was like on August 8th or something. I don't know why I remember that date. Something like that. And so I called Juliet and I was like, oh my God, I had never had a reading before, which is crazy to think where I'm at now.
Right. Less than a year.
I do readings. I've gotten lots of readings. I mean, within 1 month, I just like, it's just so funny. Like, I don't know why I'm thinking of this as a terrible example, but when you're like drinking and you're like, can't break the seal because once I pee once, I'll just have to continue peeing a bunch.
Right.
I like broke the seal of readings because within the first month, I got my first reading, which was in Akashic Records, and then connected with a medium, talked to my mom, and then I got like another reading, spontaneous. Like it just kept like rolling. I just all of a sudden got all these readings, and I was like, and then I was like, I'm starting this business because these readings gave me this information and whatever. Anyways. It's crazy. But I was like, I have to tell you everything. Like, let's go to dinner. So I brought my little notes, told Juliet about my whole reading.
Brought a notebook to dinner.
To a restaurant.
And I said, great, I can't wait to hear all this.
She's probably like, just get it over with already.
No, you know I was excited.
No, I know. I was just my first reading. I was like, I have to tell somebody every detail. And then I was like, oh, and we're starting a podcast.
And I said, oh, I've been doing this mentorship because I think I'm a medium.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I think I'm going to do that too. And I said, amazing. You know what's great about this friendship right here? And I encourage it for all female friendships. Like, there has never been a moment where either of us have been like, she's copying me.
Oh,
it
yeah.
just
That's true.
exist.
Yeah. There's never been a like...
Oh, now she wants to...
like catty or jealousy.
No.
Because, we do very similar stuff. Yeah. I know. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, we're going to start a podcast. And Juliet's like, oh, yeah, I can talk to dead people. And I was like, what? Because we've known each other for over a year. And never once has Juliet said,
no.
You know, and we worked in a crystal store. So
and
we had psychics coming in. And Juliet was never like, oh, like I can kind of do that. Or she Lowkey didn't like the psychics.
No.
And so never once had Juliet hinted at like, oh, I'm intuitive and maybe I could try and be psychic or anything. And then she's like, I'm psychic. And I was like, well, if you can be from a course, then I could too, probably. Yeah. So then I did the mentorship. And I was like, oh yeah, I can talk to dead people too. I can read people too. Oh my gosh, last summer was wild. Everything. And
then we just started making a podcast.
And we just did it. Yeah, it took a couple months. I remember we were hopping on a Zoom and I just typed in Goddess Hangs as like to send you the link. And then I was like, oh wait, that's the name of the podcast. And it had just like came out of me. Like I just didn't even think about it.
So I was just thinking this might be a fun time to talk about sort of like who does what behind the scenes. Yeah. Right? Because nobody really knows. So Sadie is definitely the one with the grand visions.
Yes.
She's like, this is like the first week we recorded an episode, she's like, by the way, like Goddess Hangs is gonna like go on the road, we're gonna hit this city and this city and world tour.
I do have the grand visions. I'm like, we're gonna travel all over the world. We're gonna make this much money doing it. We're gonna do this and this.
Right. Have like this level of impact, help this many people.
Yeah. And then Juliet's like, well, let's start with this. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah.
I'm definitely more like, okay, so Sadie is like long game, big picture, grand visions. Sadie definitely gets more like ideas about what we should do next channeled through her.
Yeah, I feel like I should do readings like this because even like when you have asked me for your business,
you've been very helpful.
It channels through me. I've had another friend ask me, I'm like, oh, do this and this, and they're like, oh yeah, obviously, like why didn't think I have a very intuitive sense for, well, I guess that's why I have a class about purpose, because it's like how you can take like who you are and like make it into something physical.
Yeah, this one hair, I wanted to just calm down. I keep seeing it in the camera. So because Sadie does a lot of meditating and has a lot of visions, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't meditate often. Which is like not what anybody recommends, but like
no, and not everyone has to meditate every day. It doesn't work for everyone.
Sometimes before I go to bed, I'll like stick something in and it'll sort of put me to sleep.
Yeah,
but
no, that's okay.
Yeah, but Sadie does these beautiful meditations, has grand visions, and she can sort of see us like where we're going to be and who we are 6 months down the road, 1 year down the road, 5 years down the road. And I'm very good at like the mechanical stuff.
Yeah, I'm getting a shiver. So like we make like the perfect fucking duo.
Like Sadie draws the map and like I build the car. And keep the car kind of running, and like we had this,
and even if a wheel falls off, and I'm like, let's keep going, and then Juliet's like, Sadie.
I think it's just because for like how many years, like 15 years, almost 15 years, I've been in the music industry, and there's just so much like negotiating that
you're good at that
you
stuff.
End up doing, and like just practical, like, and a lot of numbers and whatever, even though it seems like a predominantly creative field, like most of the music industry is people who work the 9-to-5s. There's so many teams of people supporting the artist and all that. So we had a call this week about something big and exciting, and
I didn't even talk. Juliet was like, Sadie, are you there? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm just letting you handle it.
And I was like, I'm so grateful that that's our dynamic, because like I just know that's where I shine,
and I know it's where I don't.
Like if you had like jumped in and been like, I mean, we're like willing to do it for free.
Yeah.
I've been like, Sadie.
Because I'll just be like, yeah, let's do it for the experience. And Juliet's like, no, we deserve to get paid a lot of money. I also think I deserve to get paid a lot of money, but like, I'm very like, whatever.
No, I want to buy a house.
Yeah, I do too.
And so
I do. And then when I'm approached with the standing up for it, I like will just get excited and,
So, another thing Sadie's great at is she sort of came up with like our fonts and our branding. She's very like visually gifted, and I sort of make stuff based on what she set up for me.
Oh yeah.
So, because when I started helping with the Instagram, you can scroll back and see it's like every day is a different font.
Well, I was doing the same thing too. I learned, again, I'm taking Witch and Famous, which is a branding class, a branding biz class for witches from Capitolia Online. And that's how I learned. Because if you scroll back on my Instagram too, it's the same thing. Different fonts, no color scheme, whatever. And I was like, oh, like, just pick. It makes creating content so much easier when you just pick a theme and a color scheme and fonts, because you don't have to be like, which one should I use today? Yeah. And it looks way better. So that's not all me, but yeah, I am pretty.
But you
aesthetic.
Definitely led the what is it called, the forward march. That's not a saying.
I led the forward march
on branding, and we went with 2 really cute fonts, and like kind of pastel dreamy, like pink, blue, purple.
Courtesy, dreamy,
So that feels great. And then what else is Sadie definitely handles like a lot of the energy work for us. She's like, great, I'll do a spell.
Oh yeah.
Like I do my own little things on my end, but she definitely is.
And the spells are working.
They are working.
Like this. Oh my God, they're really working.
By the way, we have you can get your hands on 3 of Sadie's amazing spells in our Goddess Handbook. We'll link it below. It's an instant digital download.
Is one of the actually the spell the money spell jar in the Goddess Handbook is the spell that is getting a shiver, manifesting crazy stuff for us right now. I literally could charge like $1,000 for that spell. It's so simple and anyone can do it. But I'm just saying, like, the return we've gotten off that spell, holy shit. So go buy the Goddess Handbook, and if you see the spell and you have a question about how to work it for you, just let us know. DM me.
Yeah, I was like, we have to. I know we've been like really pumping up this spell, so I'm like, oh wait, you guys can access it.
Yeah, it's literally for sale already. Every time I do a spell, so I invite you to do this. Like I try to write out spells, but it's very intuitive in the moment. So that's more or less the spell. But if you have an outline there, and then if you're like, well, what if I put like this in the jar, or I said this, or like if you feel called to do something, like trust yourself. That comes with a little practice, but it's hard for me to like write out spells and be like, do them exactly this way, because I just don't believe in that. It's like you get called to like use certain things or do things a certain way for a reason, and I love just like intuitively working a spell, taking note of exactly how I did it, and then researching, and then I'm like, oh, like that's why I did that. So interesting. I didn't know that. It's cool to learn backwards like that. So I also invite you to do that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of other things that we do behind the scenes. It's been sort of even, but I think I tend to do a little more. I'm a big go-getter, and so I reach out to a lot of people to come be on our show. I do a lot of like we'll talk about it for a while, and then I go do it. So I'm definitely like, it's such a beautiful duo.
Have a good,
It's like you know, if you were curious, like who does what. And then the person who puts our videos together and, you know, adds in inserts and, you know, Psychic Babes Hotline and Spooky Time and does our intro, outro, everything. That's my dad.
Yes.
He's our producer, Greg Piper.
We're so grateful.
So grateful. He's the most supportive dad ever. He emailed me today and he was like, you need to register goddesshangs.com.
Yeah, he's always looking out for us.
He's like, why have you not done that yet? I was like, oh, you're right, Dad, thank you. So after we get off this, we're gonna pay the $12.
Yes.
Nab
Maybe
that.
we'll get an official email too.
Ooh.
Goddesses at goddesshangs.com. No, hello.
Goddess hangs at goddesshangs.com.
Goddess hangs at goddesshangs.com. Goddess hangs at hotmail.com.
Remember last week I said at hotmail.com?
I think about that once a day and it makes me giggle.
I told that to Victor. I was like, my brain really short-circuited today, and I said at hotmail.com. My family, no matter how many times I've told them to please send it to my Gmail, they still send my email to my Hotmail that I can't even access on a computer.
I was like, I wish I could sign into my old Hotmail and look at what's in there, because I'm sure my grandpa still emails my Hotmail. I'm sure he used to always send me articles and stuff.
Yeah, that's where all my
just
now I won't say how I spell it or how many dots, dashes, whatever, but my Hotmail is vintagespoons at hotmail.com. I made it when I was 12. I thought that was clever.
Mine was just Sadie Olson 18.
Yeah, see, that's a lot better. Why 18? That's my number.
I liked that number.
Oh, that's funny. Maybe you knew. We'd be friends.
It was my favorite number. I think I really was excited about being 18 years old. I don't know. I made it when I was like 13.
Okay.
I don't know. It was my favorite number for sure. I was really into favorite numbers for a while. What were your favorite numbers growing up? And comment if you're on YouTube. My favorite, the number 3, the number 18, and the number 22. 22 is still my favorite number.
Well, I like 18 because I'm born on the 18th. But I've always liked 11 and 23. I have something in my numbers all adds, no matter what I do, something all adds up to 23.
Oh.
Or something. I don't know.
I don't know about that. My dad's jersey number was 22. He's a big sports guy. So
cute.
That was like, we always tried to pick that number whenever we did sports and stuff. It's like the family number. And who doesn't like a 2-2? Who doesn't like that?
I know.
And then I don't know why I like 3. Well, 3 is actually my life path number now that I think of it, but I always liked that since I was little. So that's
I'm
crazy.
a 9.
I think I'm a
9s
3.
are wild. 9s are like, you're going to create and destroy over and over and save the world. No pressure. It's like,
I don't remember what a 3 is. So I want to look it up.
Yeah, find out. And then see, I think 9 is like the humanitarian, even though, I don't know. We've talked about like human design and how whatever I've learned about mine on my own, I don't love what it says. So I need like an expert to tell me.
Yeah, someone
something
submitted
that I'd rather
something
hear.
For, I'll just bring it up now. Someone asked us on Psychic Babes Hotline, so we can address this now.
Ooh.
Because we don't really know.
Should we pop in the graphic?
Psychic Babes Hotline!
Whee!
Here it comes. Let me see. We'll do another one where we answer, but this one, since we're on the topic,
by the way, you can write into Psychic Babes Hotline for free anytime, as many times as you want. The link is in the description. It's also in the bio on our Instagram at Goddess Hangs.
Oh, my life path 3 makes sense.
And every time we have an episode, we are now going to have the Psychic Babes Hotline segment so we can connect with you much more frequently. That is the end of my PSA.
I'm so excited to do this every episode. Okay, so Melinda said, "Hi ladies, love your podcast. I was in the lowest of lows in my life and no joke was pulled out after I heard your podcast and was introduced to the spiritual world."
Melinda.
Thank you so much for being authentically you. Thank you so much for being you and sharing this with us.
Oh my God.
So Melinda asked, "I'm so curious if you guys have had a human design chart created for yourselves, and if so, what your type, authority, and defined/undefined centers are. 1/3 here, or 1/3, I don't know, 1/3, always trying to learn what makes others tick." So I'm actually only trying to look it up a little bit on my own, but I don't really understand it. And like Juliet was saying, like I didn't like what it said.
I almost felt like
it was disempowering the way it was presented to me. So Melinda, if you have a recommendation of someone to get a reading from, or if you do readings and that's why you're asking, please comment or DM us, because I'm really interested in going to like a good reader. I just, whenever I look at it, and I actually had someone do like a practice reading on me, and I was like, I left it and I was like depressed.
I think because
I was like, you're just telling me all of the things that I'm gonna like, and it wasn't in an empowering way where it was like, you may struggle with this and this is how you do it. It was just like, you're not meant to do this kind of stuff. And I was like, fuck that. What? No, like, it was just so weird and strange. So people are obsessed with human design for a reason. I just haven't uncovered it yet. So
yeah, it hasn't quite called to me. Like I said, I did look it up. And I think, okay, this is gonna, maybe I'll eat my words like when we have an actual person who knows what they're talking about on here. I feel like people who come up as manifestors are like, I love human design. Yeah. I'm a manifester. And then like, I think you and I are probably both generators.
I think I'm a manifesting generator.
Mine was just straight generator, which is like, you're meant to work. You're not meant to like lead. It was strange.
Well, mine was like that, where it was like, you're not meant to come up with the ideas. The work comes to you and then you do it or something. I don't know. It was very strange. And I was like, I'm an ideas guy.
I think this is why I like astrology a little bit more, because you have like a full, and maybe again, human design has this and I just don't know enough yet. Yeah. You have like a full-on chart to look at where you're like, oh, it is a full,
and like she's asking about the authority and divine and undivine. There's all these different like spots and links.
Well, you know what? We could look up those answers right now and just tell her, and then she could tell us what it means. We'll do it now or another time. I don't know where to go.
Let's circle back to this one, Melinda. Please tell us a good resource to use, and then we'll do an episode where we talk. We're actually going to get a human design guest. So if you have a suggestion, again, let us know.
But we'll circle back to this, writing to us, and we're so happy to be in your corner and that you're feeling a lot better. That means a lot to us.
The 3 life path, though, my favorite number, the 3, the creative communicator.
Ah, beautiful.
Meant to perform and take center stage. You love creativity, communication, and connecting with people.
Hey.
Truly the energy of the joie de vivre.
What's that?
The joy of life.
Aww. That is Sadie. She is the joy of life.
You're a natural writer, actor, counselor, or teacher. Yep. Teaching stuff. Any profession where you can present your ideas to an audience is right up your alley. You aren't a 9-to-5 job person. You don't necessarily work well under the supervision or with structure. Yeah, the 3 is very me.
Oh my gosh, see what it says about a 9. Okay. So Melinda, we have no insight into human design, but we will tell you our life path numbers. And then leave a comment. Let us know what yours is.
And something about it to tell us what that means to you. The path of letting go. Insight, generosity. This is 9. Emotion, compassion. 9 contains a little bit of all the other numbers. You have a universal effect. Mysterious ways.
Ooh.
Adaptable. Just a spiral. Creativity and evolvement. Great potential for creative thinking, artistic output, and rapid evolution of the mind. Evolution of the mind, the emotions, and the body. 9 enables you to live a life full of love, accomplishment, and personal satisfaction.
That's all I want.
9 is the most complicated of all numbers and the most difficult to make sense of. Until you understand its evolutionary purpose, life can seem like an eternal roller coaster. That makes sense. It's like you're quickly evolving, so it's hard to make sense of like, who am I?
Yeah. I feel like I'm always a new person every couple of years.
Yes.
Wow.
Both very creative.
That makes sense.
Love it. Okay. Yeah. So what's your life path number and your recommendations for who we should go to for human design readings? Okay, let's do one more Psychic Babes hotline because I didn't have an actual answer for that.
Shall we? Yes.
And we kind of talked about this a little, but Nicole asked, Hi babes, I've been trying to create a consistent magical daily practice that attracts abundance and makes me happy, but I've been sort of overwhelmed. Specifically, how do you split up time practicing gratitude versus manifesting bigger? Do you do a switch off? So, like I was kind of saying earlier, how with my gratitude practice specifically, oh my God, Boo's over there sleeping with her little paw over her eye. So
baby.
Oh, it's really cute. Okay, sorry. We should just lock the cats out. They're so distracting. With my gratitude practice specifically and how that tunes into my bigger manifestations is like I was saying, like I mix in what I'm grateful for that is real and true in my life right now and the thing that I am wishing for, but I'm grateful for it in the present tense as though it's already mine. So that might sound like I am so grateful for my home by the beach, which is true. And then I might say I am so grateful for I'm so grateful that I own my dream car, which is not true yet, but I'm saying it as though it's true. And then you kind of can go back and forth, and you don't have to do every other. You can do 3 true and 3 manifesting and another true or whatever. But it's like scripting. So you're writing out your life as how you want it, but you're writing it out as though it's already done, and you're grateful for it now because you know it's coming. So you do not need to do a switch off. You can make it one in the same practice. But do you have any like daily magical practices, daily practices that help you attract abundance, or like, you know, you feel help you tune in to manifest the bigger things, like a small daily step that helps you reach the big thing?
So I think the most important thing I can say about this is that it's not so much about the thing you do, because my friend just bought a little 5-minute daily journal where she's going to write like positive things. It's about how you feel when you're doing whatever the thing is. So for me, for example, so I was talking about like, I don't often love meditating, which is very counterintuitive to what, you know, psychics and mediums should be doing all the time or whatever.
Right.
Or spiritual people. I used to love journaling. I have like stacks and stacks of journals. And now if like, I feel like if I have to do something like, oh, I have to write this down today, or I don't get my manifestations in or whatever, I have like an aversion to it.
Yeah.
So it's not, but if sitting down with a journal or sitting down and meditating puts you in the energy of, oh my God, I have it. It gets to be mine.
Excitement.
It gets to be easy. Oh my God, it's here. Oh my God, it's done. It's done. The income I want to make in the next year, it's done. It's a certain thing. Now I can get in the excitement energy of like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And it was easier than I thought it was going to be and all that. So some like little examples I have, whenever I'm in a swimming pool or at the beach between the hours of 9 to 5 on a weekday, I feel like the richest girl in the world.
Yep.
Because I'm like, oh my God, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 6 years ago, I would have been nannying, I would have been teaching, I would have been doing all these things while somebody else floated in a pool. And so if I carve out time to like do something luxurious, in my opinion, and neither of those things cost any money, like I'm walking down to my condo's pool or like going to the beach, that does it for me. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like I did yoga and I meditated and I wrote down these 3 things in the journal. If that doesn't make you feel amazing, like figure out what it is that does. So I like to do things that just make me feel really abundant.
Yep. The language that like our subconscious speaks is emotion. So the trick to manifesting, and I mean, I feel like magic and mindset are so closely intertwined. It's like basically tricking your mind into like giving you the answers that you want, because your subconscious, you know, takes in everything around you, and our it's called our reticular activating system only gives us certain information. So you need to let your subconscious know what kind of information is important. So that's where when you are, you know, writing down your gratitude or your journaling or you're meditating on like the thing that you want, that's an important step because you're letting your reticular activating system know that that is important. You're letting your subconscious know, and then it's going to start showing you answers. It's going to open up that intuitive channel for you. So the emotion part of it is what's most important. And so you don't have to, you're like, oh, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. My new thing that I've been doing is like I used to go for walks without my headphones, and then I decided to start doing with my headphones, and I put on, well, actually you're in the Money Mindset Magic course, and I'll share the playlist. I'll share it below. I made a Money Mindset Magic playlist, so it's all like making money music, and I put it in my headphones and I go for a walk and I'm listening to this like music that's talking about, oh, I'm rich, I'm making lots of money, whatever, and I'm visualizing all of the things that I'm getting with that money, the impact I'm having through, like when I make money, I'm having this kind of positive impact out there. I'm making money through these channels and it feels like this. So music is like a really powerful way to tap into emotion, but it's about the emotion, like bringing those things. So whether that's meditating and visualizing, or it's journaling or gratitude or whatever, it doesn't always have to be the same thing, your affirmations, but change it up, make it fun. If it's overwhelming, then it's not doing you any good. So take a break. If you don't do it every single day, it's okay. Like I don't meditate every single day, even though I meditate more often than Juliet. I don't manifest every day. We don't want to be obsessive either about what we're manifesting. We want to just like have like literally we want to just like be like having a good time visualizing it. We don't want to be visualizing it because we need it this much and we're like grasping for the strings on how to get it. We're doing it because oh my gosh, it's so fun to go on my walk by the beach and listen to my music and vibe and like think about these things. I'm not like, ugh, I gotta go do this, otherwise it's not gonna be mine. Like that is not the energy you want. So if you're feeling burnt out by manifesting intentionally in these ways, take a break. Just like, and I bet when you take that break, some of the stuff is gonna come to you. Like I almost guarantee it.
There's a couple other things I'm thinking of. Like, so it's like, so I heard this over and over and over, and then one day it clicked, and then my life started changing, and it's really like about shifting and raising your point of attraction. And it's like Sadie said, if you're trying to like do all these quote unquote high vibe things, but you're feeling overwhelmed and icky about it, you're probably pulling yourself lower. So another example is, I talk about horseback riding. Okay, so not only is that like a beautiful connection to nature and animals, and I'm excited to learn something, and it's like truly my therapy once a week, and it's given me like just, it's like falling in love. Like it's very, very special. It's also in my mind, I'm like, I have this belief that only really wealthy people take horseback riding lessons. It's not true, but it's something I believe. And so when I show up there and I pay with ease, I feel like, oh my God, I'm so rich. And then my brain starts believing that, and then I just start attracting more money. It's just this weird thing. So yeah, it doesn't have to be. And again, and we the two of us really want to take this taboo away from like talking about money and earning money and receiving money and having money, because there's like all these, we've talked all about this, but it's like, oh, well, shouldn't you just want to help people? And like, that sounds really greedy of you. And, money is the root of all evil, which is not even the correct quote. No, I think of how many people you can serve and support and all the good you can do and how you can like create generational wealth and like, really turn the tables for you and, your future generations. Money is a good thing. So if you want to get in this state of abundance, it's really just about putting yourself in environments and situations and doing things that raise your point of attraction, that make you feel really good, and that make you feel like you're already rich. Some people go get like an amazing manicure once a week. Some people go get a massage once a month. Like some people get a Starbucks drink every day, which adds up to, any of these other things. So it's just I don't think any money is wasted if it makes you feel.
Yeah, you're investing in your vibe. And so this is Nicole, the artist.
Oh, Nicole, whose art is in my living room.
Yes, and mine. I still need to get the frames, but anyways, what I was gonna say is, like, for you specifically, like, how does the version of you who sells her art for thousands of dollars and only is an artist and doesn't work another day job or 9 to 5 or whatever the desire is around your art, like, how does that version of you go about her day, whether it has to do with the art or not? Just like, what's the artist, Nicole, artist, period. That's it. Doesn't have to do other stuff to make money. Like, how does she feel when she wakes up? What does she do? How does she go about her day? And it's not just about, like, the art. It's just, like, about everything within that day. Like, when I wake up and I'm feeling, like, sluggish and I don't want to work or whatever, and I'm like, all right, well, what would, like, the $1 million business owner version of me, how would she feel today? What would she do? And, like, okay, well, maybe she would rest for an hour this morning and that would recharge and then she'd get to work or whatever it is. But talking to yourself in that way, and then that's going to get you to a place again where, like, your subconscious doesn't know that you're not that, and that's where you're going to get the answers on how to make that happen. And you're going to get the intuitive nudges, just like I got the intuitive nudge to, like, let's go to a flea market, even though who sees a podcast at a flea market? That's a weird thing, right? So you're going to get your strange, bright idea that's going to get you a step closer to making this everything you want to be. So I hope that helps. Let us know. Did you have any last thoughts?
Oh, I would just say, like, to just sprinkle gratitude throughout the day. Like, I don't sit and, like, spend 20 minutes feeling grateful. Like, throughout the day, I'll just say things I love out loud. I mean, even, like, in our house to Victor, I'm like, God, I really love this living room. I really love this view. Like, I just have a habit of being like, you know, I think you hear me saying it. I'll be like, I love this. It's like a lot of I love.
Yeah, she does do that.
And it just feels genuine in that moment, and it's not like a rigid practice. And same with manifesting. If I see something I love, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to have a house like that. Yeah. I'm so excited to have a wedding like that, you know? Yeah,
it's so individual, and, like, we both are passionate about manifestation, and I have, you know, courses that teach the process, and I've mentored people one-on-one to teach them the manifestation process. But the thing that I always want to push for everyone is, like, the way I do it isn't exactly the way that Juliet does it, and it's not going to be the way that you do it. The step-by-step is, like, the important pieces, and then you yourself kind of try out the different outfits of how that might look and pick the way that feels really good and exciting, and it'll stick. Because if you're like, I have to do this exactly like Sadie does it, where I write down what I'm grateful for every day, and then I do this, and then I have to go for a walk with my headphones in, and then I have to do this. Yeah. Well, those have to's all day are going to add up, and you're just going to be kind of like staying in the same place, because I wouldn't thrive the way Juliet manifests, and she wouldn't thrive the way I manifest. Right. And we're both fucking killing it.
Yeah, we're both very good at it. So it's just whatever gets either one of us, whatever gets you in the higher vibration.
Yeah. And I know you're in my course right now, so you can literally get coaching from me, so let me know how this speaks to you. So it's time for spooky time. So I thought something fun would be to tell you about something haunted from my hometown.
Hometown haunts.
So
I'm so excited.
We want to invite all of you to submit your spooky time stories. And this can be a personal story. I'm about to say just one from my hometown that I have a little bit of a personal thing to add to it, but it doesn't have to be something you yourself experienced. If, like, you're like, my brother saw this, my uncle used to tell a story about this, this is a hometown story, this is a story from my state, whatever. It doesn't have to be ghosts, it doesn't have to be UFOs, but, like, strange and unusual
urban
we want to hear from you.
Yeah, anything.
Oh my gosh, we should do Bigfoot, because where the area I'm from in Wisconsin has lots of Bigfoot stories too.
Really?
That's not today, but we'll get back to that.
Okay, I'm very excited for this story.
Okay, so I found an article to kind of get some more hard facts examples, because I have like my own version of it, but you know, we want some more. So we're going to read this, and then I'm going to tell you about some of my experiences. So it says, the creepy small town in Wisconsin with insane paranormal activity. Dun dun dun. Up in the middle of the state near Wausau and Stevens Point sits Marshfield. This small town used to be home to a large asylum, and folks say is one of the most haunted areas in the whole state. So, oh my gosh, this is so funny. There's pictures of it and everything here of my town. Okay, so I'm from Marshfield, Wisconsin. I think that's fine to say. Like, not telling you where I live now. And so it was home in 1909. It was picked as the home for the Wood County Insane Asylum. So this is one of those old school, awful asylums. Okay.
And this is where, before any type of therapy, medication, you would just get dropped off.
This is where they did like lobotomies and like the electroshock therapies and stuff. Like back when this stuff was like, no human rights for people that were mentally ill, and just people were just experimenting on them, and it was absolutely awful. So I'm setting this scene for you that like this is obviously a yucky energy place. Okay. So the asylum and its surrounding buildings have been of much interest to ghost hunters. Multiple groups have recorded what seems like voices, and one group captured a picture that seems to show a spirit looking right into the camera. So the asylum no longer exists, but a company stands where most of the structure once was, and they chronicle the various spirit and paranormal sightings that have occurred here.
Who on earth would be like, yes, let's build our company right here?
Yeah. So it says, let's see. Although the current property owner spent 3 years dismantling, demolishing, and raising the old rotting structure, many landmarks still exist, and as with many mysterious old buildings, the history of the site still exists in its legends and lore. There are rumors of patient deaths, as well as a worker who committed suicide on the property. The spirit that is seen the most is a young girl with long dark hair, and she would usually appear in windows and the tunnels. So I'm going to explain the tunnels for you shortly. One worker was said to have seen the face of the devil in the boiler room, and when he went in to confront it, he never came out.
Ooh.
Based on records and what equipment was found in the asylum, it's not hard to understand that there might be unresolved issues from those that may have died here. Goosebumps. All right. And yeah, there's like pictures of chairs and stuff. The barn and surrounding farm were worked by patients at the asylum. They weren't paid for their work, but the farm provided food for everyone at the asylum. So what is still there? Well, what was still there when I was in high school was this barn. So it was a working farm. The patients would work the farm. It was like, I guess, you know, something for them to do, but they weren't paid for the work.
It sounds like some labor exploitation.
So yeah, more or less. And then, you know, they kept the food or whatever. So the barn was still there when I was in school there, when I still lived there. I don't know if it's still there. And, okay, so it says there's actually a long tunnel that connects the old asylum building with the barn across the way. And that's one of the pieces that still exists. It floods easily, but it was through this tunnel that patients trudged to work on the farm. The tunnel is said to be haunted not only because it's one of the last remaining structures, but because it represents the forced labor they endured. So there was a tunnel because I'm guessing because it's so cold there. So they would just go down. I was like, that was nice of them to build a tunnel, I guess, but to go to their forced labor. I was like, I don't know why they built that tunnel, but I'm guessing it was because it's so cold in Wisconsin there.
Didn't you say you have tunnels under your school?
I think I've told you about this tunnel before.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So the asylum, now I was going to talk about the hospital. The asylum isn't the only place in town that has ghost hunters interested. St. Joseph's Hospital is more than 100 years old, and one of its wings is said to be haunted. Multiple patients and employees report having seen a man in black robes going in and out of their rooms. I've never heard of that, and I was raised going to that hospital. But okay, so let's talk about this asylum. So Norwood is actually still a mental health clinic in Marshfield, but now it's like, you know, a legitimate modern day one. But my grandma worked there.
Wow.
So I don't think she ever worked at the old original one, But basically, it was like the thing to do when we were in school to like go see Haunted Norwood, the old one. So it was like this whole campus, and the main buildings that were like the hospital itself were all torn down, but this barn was still standing, and then there's the tunnel. And so by the time I was of the age to be able to like go do this, it was like I don't know, when you were like 16 and you had cars, that was like the thing to do, you know. It was like a coming of age thing to do. I did not want to do it, and I was like in a car with a group of people, and they were like, well, you can stay in the car by yourself or you can come with us, and we were parked right by the creepy barn, so I didn't want to stay by myself. So I went in, but back in the day you could go down in the tunnel, and there was still, this is what I heard from older students, there was still like the chairs where you could see the straps and stuff, like really, really spooky. But by the time we went, the tunnel had more or less collapsed. So you couldn't go down in it. So we just went into the barn. We barely went in. And my friend had brought her, this is when like digital cameras were pretty new, by the way.
Okay. Her Canon point and shoot.
Yeah, something like where you can, it was new to be able to like see the picture right away, you know? So we brought a disposable camera and we brought a digital camera because we were like, we want to see if there's like orbs, you know? So we take some pictures with the disposable camera, which have never been developed because we were too scared to develop them.
Okay.
But we walked in, we're barely in the door, and it's just, you just feel so, I mean, there's all these stories you hear, whatever, but I mean, it was not a good feeling. I would never go in there again. Even now, as confident mediums, I would never go in there.
Okay.
It was awful. So we were in there all of 30 seconds, but she, you know, we're snapping some on this digital camera, and then Haley takes one photo with the digital camera, looks at it, screams, and we all run out. And it's a barn. It very much could have just been dust, but it was just a bunch of orbs in one corner. And we were like, well, what if it's dust? So we were debating going back in, you know, or not. And we were just like, no, when we left. So it wasn't exactly super eventful, but I did go there, and there's lots of stories about that. I know. It was a really awful, gnarly place. It's an interesting piece of our town's history because it's a very small town, but it was our county's asylum, so it was like a big thing. But it's a famous spooky story from my hometown that is quite sad. But yeah, it's like I
wish you could recover that photo.
I know. I asked Haley recently, I was like, did you ever get those developed? And she was like, no, I don't know where that camera is either. She's like, I was too scared to develop them.
Oh.
So yeah.
Well, that's a fabulous example of a spooky time.
Spooky story
you could submit.
Spooky time.
Now, did you have tunnels under your college?
No, I think
what am I thinking of?
I wish we did. Maybe it was so cold walking to class.
Maybe it was on
or maybe they did, but they weren't open when I went there.
Because I heard a story once where there was a college on the East Coast, and they had built tunnels underneath the whole thing so that when it was snowing, you would just go through the tunnels, and then like some spooky stuff would happen in the tunnels. And
I'll have to find out not at Madison. I think Minneapolis has tunnels, but I don't know if they're underground or. I mean, I don't know. They must be. I think they have tunnels there. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's freezing cold.
Whoa.
Spooky time. Yeah, that's Marshfield, Wisconsin's spooky story.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait till I can come visit Marshfield.
I know.
It's going to be an adventure.
We'll go drive past there and see if the barn's still there. I kind of feel like it's been taken down since. And there was just a bunch of stuff in the barn. And then, back where the original buildings were, there's like new buildings there, like it said in the article.
Wow.
But I would be interested. I'm too scared to go in that barn again. Maybe if it was daylight.
I was going to say, we could go in the daytime.
But I would also be interested to go just to the new buildings and feel the energy there. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a Ghost Adventures
Marshfield ghost
Goddess Hangs vlog.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
That'd be very fun.
yeah, that's my spooky story. Spooky time. What's it called? It's called spooky time. Spooky story keeps coming out of my mouth. Spooky time story. Submit yours.
I'll have to come up with
links.
one for next week.
Yes.
I'll brainstorm some spooky stuff that happened. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, my hometown is LA, so there's
I have a whole book about it. We heard one last week.
A lot of spooky, but I'll think of something that pertained specifically to like something I saw or something my friend saw.
Or like your like area or something.
Yeah. Ooh.
So that is our 2 new segments. Make sure you submit to be featured on one, Psychic Babes Hotline or Spooky Time. We're so excited. We can't wait to very soon tell you about the projects and events in the works because we have big things happening. And thank you to our original listeners. Thank you to our new listeners for being here. We're just so grateful for all of you. And oh my God, I can't believe that we're 32 episodes in and we're like, I just already feel like we're just such a solid community.
I know.
It's so awesome.
I know. And thank you as always for reaching out to us and leaving comments and DMing us. We are very active on Instagram and on the YouTubes. We look at everything and respond to you guys. So everything means a lot to us. Thank you.
Make sure you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and before you submit it, you screenshot it and email it to goddesshangs@gmail.com. We're going to be sending out some little goddess meditation gifts for free to all of you who leave us a review. If you've already done it, let us know, remind us, and we'll send it to you. And like, subscribe, share with a friend who would love Goddess Hangs. It helps us so much. It means so much to us. We just love you.
We love you. Give us a follow. Mine is at juliet.piper.
I'm at I am Sadie Olson, and our page is at Goddess Hangs.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.